What if the most important conversation you'll ever have isn't with a mentor, a therapist, or even a loved one, but with yourself? Have you ever noticed how we can spend decades living with ourselves, yet remain strangers to our own depths? We scroll through social media seeking wisdom from others while the most profound insights lie dormant within us, waiting for the right questions to bring them to light. The truth is, most people never discover who they truly are because they're asking themselves the wrong questions. Or worse, no questions at all. Today, I'm going to share the exact Jungian self-inquiry framework that has helped thousands of people access parts of themselves they never knew existed. These aren't just any questions. They're precisely calibrated psychological tools designed to bypass your conscious defenses and connect you with the wisdom of your deeper self. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete system for profound self-discovery that goes far beyond the superficial, know yourself advice you've heard before. This is the practical application of Carl Jung's most transformative work on self-analysis. Carl Jung, the pioneering Swiss psychiatrist, developed his approach to self-analysis during a period of intense personal crisis. After his break with Freud around 1913, Jung entered what he later called his confrontation with the unconscious, a period of deliberate self-inquiry that lasted nearly 16 years and formed the foundation of his most important psychological theories. What made Jung's approach revolutionary was his understanding that self-knowledge isn't just about analyzing our problems or past traumas. It's about establishing an ongoing dialogue with the different aspects of our psyche, including those parts that remain unconscious to us in daily life. At its core, Jungian self-analysis is about asking questions that help us recognize patterns, integrate shadow aspects, understand our complexes, and ultimately move toward what Jung called individuation, becoming the unique, whole person we're meant to be. Throughout this video, we'll move from foundational questions that anyone can use to more advanced inquiries for those ready to dive deeper. I'll explain not just what to ask yourself, but how to listen for the answers, how to work with resistance when it arises, and how to integrate what you discover into your daily life. Whether you're new to psychological work or have been on this path for years, these questions will meet you where you are and take you further than you might imagine possible. Many of us struggle with feelings of being stuck, repeating the same patterns, or living a life that doesn't quite feel authentic. These struggles often stem from a disconnection from our deeper selves. The questions we'll explore today are designed to bridge that gap, to help you access the wisdom that already exists within you. Let me be clear, this isn't about finding quick fixes or temporary solutions. This is about embarking on the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are. It's challenging work, but I believe it's the most important work any of us can do. Before we dive into the specific questions, it's essential to understand the theoretical foundation that makes these inquiries so powerful. Jung's model of the psyche gives us a map of the territory we'll be exploring. Jung saw the psyche as having several distinct components: the personal unconscious, forgotten or repressed personal experiences. 3. The collective unconscious, universal, inherited patterns of thought and experience. 4. The persona, the social mask we present to others. 5. The shadow, disowned aspects of ourselves we've rejected or repressed. 6. The anima animus, our inner feminine, masculine aspects. 7. The self, the central organizing principle of the psyche and the goal of individuation. While it certainly helps with that, Jung saw it as something much more profound, a way to fulfill our innate drive toward wholeness and meaning. As Jung wrote in The Development of Personality, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This becoming isn't automatic. It requires conscious effort and, crucially, the right questions to guide the way. Let's look at some examples to illustrate how this works in practice. By questioning the origins of her persona and exploring her neglected qualities, she began integrating these disowned parts, leading to a more authentic and fulfilling life. Or take Michael, who kept finding himself in conflictual relationships. Through shadow work questions, he recognized how he projected his own unacknowledged anger onto others, seeing them as hostile when they weren't. By owning this disowned emotion, his relationships transformed. These examples demonstrate how the right questions can illuminate patterns that remain invisible to us when we're caught in them. They create what Jung called a circumambulation, a circling around our core issues from different angles until we can see them clearly. A key principle in Jungian psychology is that the unconscious communicates symbolically. This is why many of our questions will invite you to work with images, dreams, and metaphors. They provide direct access to unconscious content that logical thinking alone cannot reach. Another important concept is psychological projection. Jung observed that we often attribute to others qualities that actually belong to our unconscious selves. Many of the questions we'll explore help identify these projections, allowing us to reclaim these disowned aspects of ourselves. With this theoretical foundation in place, let's move into the practical application, the exact questions that will guide your self-discovery process. Now we'll explore the specific questions that form the heart of Jungian self-analysis. I've organized these into 5 categories, each targeting a different aspect of psychological integration. For each question, I'll explain its purpose, how to work with it, and what to do with the insights it generates. 1. In which situations do I feel I'm playing a role rather than being myself? This question helps identify where your persona, your social mask, has become rigid or inauthentic. Pay attention to situations where you feel exhausted afterward, as this often indicates you've been maintaining a persona that doesn't align with your deeper self. 2. What parts of myself do I hide from others, and why? This reveals the gap between your public and private selves. The why is crucial. Often we hide aspects of ourselves based on childhood messages about what was acceptable. 3. If I didn't care what anyone thought, how would my life be different? This question bypasses social conditioning to access your authentic desires. Don't rush your answer. Sit with it for days if needed, allowing deeper truths to emerge. Exercise. Choose one small way to express a hidden aspect of yourself this week. Notice the fear that arises and practice moving through it rather than being stopped by it. 1. What qualities in others trigger strong emotional reactions in me, positive or negative? Strong reactions often indicate projection. We're seeing our own disowned qualities in others. This is especially true of qualities that instantly irritate or fascinate us. 2. What aspects of myself am I most ashamed of or try to improve? Our improvement projects often target shadow aspects we're uncomfortable with. The goal isn't to stop improving, but to approach these areas with compassion rather than rejection. 3. What do I judge most harshly in others? As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Our judgments are often projections of our own shadow. 4. What recurring patterns or problems keep appearing in my life? Repetitive patterns often indicate unconscious shadow material seeking integration. Look for the common thread in seemingly different situations. Exercise. Choose one quality you dislike in others. Write a dialogue between yourself and this quality, allowing it to speak about why it's present in your life and what it needs from you. 1. What situations consistently trigger an emotional response that feels bigger than the situation warrants? Emotional overreactions often signal a complex, a cluster of charged emotions around a specific theme. Identifying these helps you respond rather than react. 2. What childhood experiences still affect how I feel and behave today? This helps identify the origins of your complexes. Look for patterns established in early relationships that continue in your adult life. 3. If my emotional reaction in this situation could speak, what would it say it needs? This personifies the complex, allowing you to engage with it as a part of yourself that has needs, rather than as a problem to eliminate. Exercise. The next time you experience an emotional overreaction, pause and write down exactly what you're feeling, what triggered it, and any earlier experiences it reminds you of. Look for patterns across different triggering situations. 1. What recurring characters appear in my dreams, fantasies, or the stories I'm drawn to? These often represent archetypal energies active in your psyche. Pay attention to figures that appear repeatedly in different forms. 2. What myths, fairy tales, or stories have always resonated deeply with me? Our attraction to certain stories often indicates archetypal themes we're working with in our own lives. 3. What roles do I find myself playing repeatedly in my relationships, e.g., rescuer, victim, wise one, rebel? These often reflect archetypal patterns. Becoming conscious of them gives you choice rather than compulsion. Exercise. Identify a character from myth, fiction, or history that you've always been drawn to. Write about the qualities this figure embodies and how these qualities might be seeking expression in your life. 1. What aspects of myself have I neglected or left undeveloped? Individuation requires reclaiming neglected parts of ourselves. Often these are qualities that weren't valued in our family or culture. 2. What would my life look like if I were living more authentically? This question helps clarify your direction. Don't censor your response. Allow yourself to imagine possibilities beyond current limitations. 3. What meaningful coincidences, synchronicities, have occurred in my life, and what might they be pointing toward? Jung saw synchronicities as the unconscious guiding us toward wholeness. They often appear at crucial junctures in our development. 4. What gives my life meaning and purpose? This addresses what Jung considered the central question of human existence. Meaning is highly individual. What matters is what resonates deeply for you. Exercise. Create a visual representation of your life journey, marking significant turning points, synchronicities, and moments of meaning. Look for patterns and themes that might indicate your unique path of individuation. As you engage with these questions, you'll inevitably encounter resistance, parts of you that don't want to look deeper. This is normal, and actually a sign you're touching important material. When you notice resistance, try these approaches. Acknowledge it directly. I notice I'm feeling resistant to exploring this question. 2. Get curious about the resistance itself. What is this resistance protecting me from? 3. Start small. Begin with less threatening questions and gradually work toward more challenging ones. 4. Use indirect approaches. Sometimes creative methods like drawing, movement, or free writing can bypass conscious resistance. Remember that resistance isn't your enemy. It's a protective mechanism that deserves respect. Work with it rather than against it. The insights that emerge from these questions are precious and easily lost. I recommend keeping a dedicated journal for your self-inquiry process. Here are some guidelines. Include dreams, images, and synchronicities that occur during this process. 4. Review periodically to notice patterns and track your growth. 5. Be honest but compassionate with yourself throughout. Self-knowledge profoundly impacts how we relate to others. As Jung noted, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is especially true in relationships, where our unconscious patterns often play out. The questions we've explored help you choose partners consciously, rather than unconsciously seeking someone to carry your projections. 4. Communicate from wholeness. Speaking from integration rather than fragmentation. Our work life is another area transformed by self-knowledge. The questions about neglected aspects and authentic living often reveal vocational directions we've ignored. Jung believed that our vocation, our calling, emerges from the dialogue between conscious and unconscious. Many people experience career dissatisfaction because their work engages only their persona, while leaving deeper aspects of self unexpressed. Self-inquiry might reveal untapped talents that seek expression in your work. 2. Values misalignments between your current role and your authentic self. 3. Creative impulses that need outlets 4. Purpose and meaning that transcend conventional success. Jung saw creativity as a natural outcome of psychological integration. When we connect with our unconscious through self-inquiry, we tap into an endless source of creative energy and original thinking. The questions about archetypes and the collective unconscious are particularly valuable for creative work, connecting us to universal symbols and patterns that resonate across cultures and time periods. Many artists, writers, and innovators have used Jungian approaches to overcome creative blocks and access deeper wells of inspiration. By dialoguing with different aspects of the psyche, they bring fresh material into consciousness. While Jung approached psychology scientifically, he recognized its profound spiritual dimensions. Many of our questions, particularly those about meaning, purpose, and the self, naturally open into spiritual territory. Jung saw individuation as ultimately a spiritual process, not in a dogmatic religious sense, but as an authentic connection to something larger than the ego. The self, in Jungian psychology, functions as both the center and the totality of the psyche, similar to concepts of the divine in many traditions. Self-inquiry often leads to recognition of the sacred in psychological work. 4. A lived spirituality rather than an abstract theology. Active imagination, a structured way to dialogue with unconscious figures. 2. Dream analysis, working with dreams as direct messages from the unconscious. 3. Symbol amplification, exploring personal symbols through cultural and historical parallels. 4. Typological analysis, understanding your psychological type and developing underdeveloped functions. While we focused on Jung's methods, self-inquiry benefits from multiple perspectives. Consider integrating transpersonal psychology that addresses spiritual dimensions. They're invitations to an ongoing dialogue with yourself, a conversation that deepens and evolves throughout your lifetime. The journey of self-discovery isn't linear. It spirals back on itself, revisiting familiar territory with new eyes. Questions that seemed straightforward at first reveal deeper layers of meaning as you grow. Insights that once transformed your understanding become the foundation for new questions. This is the nature of psychological development, not a straight line toward a fixed destination but an ever-expanding circle of awareness. As Jung wrote, "There is no linear evolution, there is only a circumambulation of the self." Yet this is precisely what our world needs now. Individuals willing to do their inner work, to become more conscious, to live from authenticity rather than conditioning. As Jung said, the world hangs on a thin thread, and that thread is the psyche of man. Our collective future depends on our individual willingness to become more conscious. Remember that this work isn't about reaching perfection. It's about becoming more fully human, embracing both your light and shadow, your strengths and vulnerabilities, your uniqueness and your connection to the collective. The questions we've explored are keys that unlock doors within you, but only you can walk through those doors. Only you can integrate what you discover into a life lived with greater awareness and purpose. I encourage you to begin today. Choose one question that resonates with you and give it your full attention. Write about it, dream about it, live with it. See what it reveals. Then choose another and another. Let your curiosity lead you. The reward for this work isn't just self-knowledge, it's self-creation. You become an active participant in your own development rather than a passive product of your conditioning. You author your life from a place of awareness rather than automation. As you continue this journey, remember that you're not alone. Countless others throughout history have walked this path of self-discovery. Their wisdom lives in books, in art, in traditions of inner work that span cultures and centuries. And more importantly, the wisdom you seek already lives within you, waiting to be recognized. The most profound discovery in this work is that the answers you seek have been within you all along. The questions are simply the keys that unlock the doors to your own inner knowing. I'd love to hear which of these questions resonated most deeply with you. Was there one that immediately sparked insight, or perhaps one that you found yourself resisting? Share your experience in the comments below. If you've been practicing self-inquiry for some time, What questions have you found most transformative in your own journey? Your wisdom might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. For those new to this work, what's one question you commit to exploring this week? Declaring your intention publicly can help strengthen your commitment. If you know someone who's at a crossroads or seeking deeper self-understanding, consider sharing this video with them. Sometimes the right question at the right time can catalyze profound transformation. For more on Jungian psychology and personal growth, check out our videos on the dark side of your personality. That's actually your greatest gift, shadow integration, or how to recognize your soulmate without falling into projection, Jung's anima and animus theory. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive into Jungian self-inquiry. Until next time, may your questions lead you ever closer to your authentic self.